Welcome back to Pap-Pap's Porch, where we light a fire, stoke the coals, and feed the soul. I'm joined today by someone walking the same road I'm on, a road of healing, purpose, and pouring back into others. Kerry Steuart is the founder of Bliss, and today we're talking about living on a mission after the military and what it means to help others do the same. So Kerry, welcome to the show. Let me bring myself up here. And so let's just get right to it. Why did you start Bliss? So why does it exist?
Well, the primary reason was my wife came to me 11 years ago and she said, "You're not the man I married. You're not the man you used to be." And I thought she wanted to end the relationship, but instead she threw me this lifeline and just said, "You can retire and you can focus on your health and well-being." And so, that gift right there just sparked a transformational journey for me and now thousands of others. And so I gave myself permission to engage in self-care and to really settle down and not have to go so fast and be more mindful and be more present and be in the moment. So that's what we do each and every day is we offer, our patriotic guardians and those people that have served us the opportunity to really engage in self-care and give them permission.
Yeah, see that? Man, I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So, we talk a lot about healing through doing. And so for you, what does that look like? So you just now talked about who you work with, but what does that look like, when you go out there and you're kind of in your element and doing your mission, doing the Live Bliss mission?
Yeah, it's really just being really authentic and meeting people where they're at because everybody's on a different level and a different plane. So we talk about self-care and giving them permission, mindfulness, meditation, living intentionally, setting their goals. I've created a whole curriculum of finding your bliss. So everybody is at different levels, different planes. There's no expectation, so if I want you to live intentionally and we talk about that, it may take you 5 days. It may take you 5 weeks, to start to engage in self-care. It's the same thing. Everybody is going to be on a different level, different plane, but giving them permission to take their time and discover it on their own journey and their own path.
Oh, man.
That's what it's about.
Dude, I love that. I mean, that's great. I mean, you and I talk quite often, but to hear it kind of laid out that way, is pretty cool to me. And so that kind of brings, me to my next question is, smoke and focus and live with. We both are trying to give people tools, whether I'm cooking barbecue or you do a teaching meditation or teaching.
I love to eat, right? Man.
So what did you say? I lost it.
I love to eat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's known.
Yeah.
Pick up the tab, y'all, when Kerry's eating. But what's the message you want a veteran or like a burned out soul, like I was, a while back? What do you want them to hear? If you just had that one little tagline, like what would
you belong?
What's that?
That you belong. You belong. That you are okay where you're at and you belong and there's hope for the future. But I would say the number one quality or trait, I want you to feel like you belong.
Okay. Yeah. And I know when you reached out to me, you definitely did that. So, you're living proof that, post-traumatic growth, it's real, and I think I'm kind of part of that as well. And so what keeps you growing, you showing up to do that kind of work? It's tough. It's a kind of a tough thing to deal with day in and day out, but what keeps you coming back?
I would say when I hear the testimonies that I've got to be the best version of myself each and every single day so I can show up for these people. And that gives me hope that at some point, this week, somebody's going to send me a text or give me a call and say that I've saved their life. There's nothing more gratifying than hearing those words or seeing that text or having that interaction with people. And so, you've got to be the best version of yourself. You've got to exceed your own expectations in order to show up for these other people. Because if you don't show up, there may not be anybody else showing up for them. You may be the only person that is there for them this week.
Yeah. And that's so true. And, and sometimes it's just kind of knowing what the other person wants or what they need because you have that personal connection. There's times, in my life that like somebody will know that I'm down and they'll shoot me a text early in the morning and I wake up to, kind of spit my coffee across the room. And it's kind of an inside thing from Kerry. We won't go into that today, but there'll definitely be another episode about we'll just call it the tick episode.
Yeah.
We'll go from there. So, you just said, we both lean up and showing, being real, being ready when you show up,
Right.
make sure you have that professional appearance. But what do you think, like vulnerability, Would you think that's the key when you come into this type of community? You come in looking for help?
Yes, sir. I mean, 100%. That's what I encourage people. And I know a lot of people see vulnerability as a weakness, as you're frail, but vulnerability is your greatest strength.
Mm.
Vulnerability is where you become raw, authentic, genuine with yourself, that you no longer have to hold back. We've all been in relationships where we felt maybe a little uneasy, or there was something about that person we couldn't really decide, like, what is it about them? But realistically, they're just not being vulnerable. And I think that's removing the mask and just in allowing yourself to begin to feel and allow yourself to face your own fears. But vulnerability to me is the number one key of growth and opportunity to grow.
Right. And so, so what's the like a small act that someone can do this week to live with more intent, like their intention? Like
Hmm.
I want to live with purpose, not just kind of wandering. But where, like, how can they do that? How can they set them up for success each and every morning?
I'll say it like this. So living intentionally is you set an intention, and I'll use love. Let's just say love. Love is our intention for today. So what does love feel like for you? To love and be loved. And then what does it sound like? That self-dialogue. We always have a lot of negative self-talk, debilitating talk. So how can we express love with the words we say to ourselves? And then what does love look like? How can you share and show love to yourself today? And so once you begin to integrate that into your life for you personally, then you can do that for the community. So for me and you, what does love feel like if I can show you love or show you respect, whatever the intention is? And what does it sound like? The tone of my voice, how I talk to you, the things I say to you, maybe the things I don't say to you. And what does it look like, for me to show up with you? So living intentionally, to put it in the most simplest terms, is what does it feel like? What does it sound like? And what does it look like internally and externally?
Okay. No, yeah. And that kind of rings a bell. And I know there's listeners out there that'll be like, that makes so much sense to me because, in that line, and we'll kind of wrap it up here, but what is the one thing that a person can do today to reach out or find the help that they're looking for, the help that they need? What's the one thing that they can do within themselves? Because you and I, we can speak and do podcasts and reach out, but it ultimately comes from the individual. It comes from the person and says, you know what, I'm at that point. I want to reach out. And then on the other side, when they come to you, how do you not maybe freak them out or scare them away at that first time? Because, it's a little bit nervous for them and,
Right.
and they don't know what they're doing. So how do you welcome them in right off the bat? And then what can they do to reach out?
Well, they can definitely go to my website, livebliss.org, if they want to reach out to me directly. I think the one thing that they can do for themselves is to begin to love themselves and to forgive. And that's very challenging for a lot of people. But I think for me, not everybody's going to resonate. I'll be completely honest. I call it the producers, the people that want to produce the results, the people that want agency and want accountability, and that are tired of being who they are. They're tired of this life. They're just worn out and they want a better life. Those are the people that really resonate with me. And those are the people that get me and I get them, and we value one another. Normally in a group setting, I offer this opportunity for people to be vulnerable. And it's the first time in a long time that they have permission to be vulnerable or to engage in self-care and focus on their healing journey. And so I think those are some of the key elements. Also that they belong. I try to instill that within the environment, whether it's virtually or in person, with the people in our community. Hopefully that answers your question.
Oh yeah, it lays it out, and that's the thing that we're looking for here on Pap-Pap's Porch is, you kind of sit there and you figure things out just like you're talking to your grandson or your best friend or an old army buddy or maybe someone you just met. So, I just want to say thanks. And, so I appreciate you, kind of walking through your mission today. For
Yes.
folks, listening, healing doesn't happen by accident. It just doesn't. It happens on purpose. And that's kind of what we've been talking about today. So, light that fire, stoke those coals, and feed your soul. And that means reaching out as well as receiving, because sometimes we get caught and we try to produce so much and try to do so much, we overwhelm ourselves. So, just think about that. So, Kerry, we appreciate you. And you can get Kerry at livebliss.org. And he's out of Oklahoma. We're at in Oklahoma, you out there, Kerry?
By Grand Lake.
Okay. So by Grand Lake.
Corner.
So
Yeah.
if you need to reach out,
I'm close to Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri.
So if you need to reach out and go out, Kerry's, starting something big out there. He's got a retreat center that he's putting together on his own property, actually. Maybe other options that are coming available to him, and we'll see how that goes. But Kerry, I'd love maybe to start this as a segment, and then have you come back and let you talk about the work that you're doing and the work that you're going to be doing, because I know what you have been doing is fantastic. So thanks so much, and thanks for coming out today.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Have a good day.